Oh, this can fuck my good. Wow, this is like a lot.
Hey, how's it going? It's us, the social distancing guys. We have actual names we never say. I'm Alex, this is Josie.
Do you think that matters? No one cares.
No one cares.
Holy shit, are we back in Locky D6 or what? My god, are you...
Unless you're in another state and then it's a different number.
Yeah, I don't know what number you're up to, but we are... Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, this episode was gonna be all about sort of like reading that full report.
The Doherty report.
Yeah, I was gonna be like...
Thing.
I had like a Sherlock hat on and I was gonna do heaps of research, and then we got thrown into lockdown and then I'd just been drunk the whole time. So that's not what's gonna happen.
It's impeded our research, not gonna lie.
We're gonna do something else. But I did just want to be like, before we proceed, are you wearing your own merch?
I am wearing my own merch. This is me and my wicked brother, the mighty Snuff King Gore, and I'm wearing our Team Snuff shirt. We're wrestlers. He's a wrestler. I'm really more of a hanger-on. I don't know. You've not heard? I'm the most famous wrestler in the country because all the more famous ones left to make it overseas.
I think from the outset we were like, oh, we're artists who have lost our jobs, but really specifically, you are a wrestler.
Yes. Anyway, this is our wicked merch. So if you would like to wear a shirt to your grandmother's funeral that says Team Snuff,
she would want that.
let us know in the comments below or direct messages. And because this operation is so small and rinky-dink, I will personally fold it up and put it in an envelope and send it to you.
With some kisses.
With some kisses.
I want to touch on a few things. Basically, we were thrown in Victoria into another seven-day lockdown. So there's a few things I want to talk about. It's lockdown protest, it's vaccine fuckery, it's a whole bunch of stuff. But first I thought maybe Alex, you could give us sort of just like a vaccine COVID.
Oh, shall we do the numbers and we'll point at different parts of the screen?
Some kind of like...
Alright, give me the thing because I didn't learn shit. Alright, so it's I'm gonna start with Sydney for a change because they've been having a grand old time. So as of Saturday, the 7th of August, they had 319 new cases today that they found. Who fucking knows how many they didn't find? Where did you point to for that? Where is that? Bing, right over our heads. Which is the highest daily total the state has ever seen. So onwards and upwards, congratulations. They had 5 more deaths today. That's pretty fucking bad. I love the way they announce it. Gladys never says the deaths herself.
She throws to fucking Kerry Chan.
Oh, this time it was that...
Snaps her glasses and she's like, you say it, bitch.
That fat, hideous old bird, Brad Hazard, who he just at the end of the report he's gone, oh yeah, and look, by the way, I think 6 people died. I don't know, they're all peons. I'll get someone else to say it. And it was so dismissive. You fucking pieces of shit. Lead with the deaths, you cunts. It's important.
Deaths, people's lives.
Yeah, instead it's just fucking sucking business cock for 55 minutes and then at the end of the report going, and by the way, people are dead forever.
I have a huge business cock, but also I want to know about the people's lives. So,
this outbreak alone, there are 27 people have died in New South Wales. Once again, I think 2 people died in the pink bat debacle and we had to have a fucking royal commission about it. So there are currently over 3,000 active cases in New South Wales. They are in lockdown, but kind of, because compared to what we're doing in Victoria, which we'll come up to instead, they're doing this weird thing where it's all broken down according to LGAs, which I believe are local government areas.
Which you only know about every 45 years when you have to go to like a council election. Like,
yeah, when you got to vote for your local Shire member.
Honestly, put a comment below if you knew what the fuck your LGA was before this shit.
Yeah, am I in Bandicoot or am I in Abacus? Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous.
It's
so, and there's different restrictions for each one. It's a total palaver, and a lot of people have said
palaver is actually code for clusterfuck, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And some people are saying that it's being enforced differently depending on how rich and white the neighbourhoods are. Which
they didn't lock down Bondi, and then they're like, you know what, we're
sending a fucking army into Blacktown. Mind you, I've wrestled in Blacktown a few times, and I did feel like I needed an armed escort to go to and from the shops from the venue.
But I don't think that's to do with race. I think that's to do with your fear.
Yeah, and well, I mean, it's to do with poverty, and poverty breeds hardship, and hardship breeds a certain need to survive that brings out nastiness in people. This is, what the fuck do you expect when you make people suffer and be poor for generations? So they're currently supposedly locked down in their sort of soft cock down until the 28th of August. Although, considering I was meant to be performing at the Vivid Festival in late September, and that's now being cancelled, I don't think anyone thinks that they're coming out of lockdown at the end of August. Meanwhile, in Melbourne, as of today, 7th of August, there were 29 new cases today.
That's
and
too many!
I think the whole state went,
Yeah, I think we all experienced
Fuck.
brain fog and trauma response.
well, we had the thing where we were sort of out of lockdown less than we were in.
Yeah.
And this sort of the glorious few months we had earlier this year where I was able to have my mad birthday rampage and shit, where we could be out and about and party and have wrestling shows and all that cool shit.
You could touch
I
people
think
again.
It's, get back in. Just the good old days where you just picked up regular germs from fraternizing with people and snorting drugs off other people's assholes and stuff.
Going to the toilet in the corner and sitting-
But we're back in now, and I think our lockdown's meant to be 7 days, which means it's meant to end next Tuesday, and I don't think anyone thinks that's going to happen. And various events have started preemptively cancelling. So, yes, so we had 29 new cases. They were all linked to existing cases, so that's kind of good for our detective point of view. But the source of this outbreak that's caused this lockdown is still unknown, but we all know it's New South Wales, right? There are 97 active cases in total. All of Victoria is in full lockdown, including regional.
I know that you don't want me to disrupt or derail this conversation, but one thing I do notice as that these things have been done at a state level is it's causing division when we're really one country. When New South Wales is suffering, we're all suffering, right? We're all open to...
Well, yeah, because Sydney's not an island.
No, right. So I
Yeah.
I understand why we're going through this state by state, but we really need to start looking at this. It's almost like our federal government is failing us, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they specialise in killing old people, which is odd because that's their voter base. I want to touch on Queensland because they're still locked down and also having all sorts of issues in terms of event management and stuff like that. So they had 13 new cases today. 12 of them were in isolation. I don't know if the third one was running around. They also had 2 army men attacked by a crocodile today, so that's kind of interesting.
Queensland. That's
Yeah, that's it. Swim in crocodile-infested waters and find out. They're deciding about whether they come out of lockdown tomorrow, so we'll see what happens there. All the best to anyone who is in Queensland.
So it's the entire eastern seaboard is how I've heard it described, which I think is also used in American films.
I don't know what a seaboard is. I'm pretty sure that's
Seaboard,
what Lex Luthor was going to
side,
sink the whole thing and
side.
create a new coastline. That's all I remember, yeah.
Seaboard is the side of the sea, I feel like. And Western Australia, South Australia, and the others, NISC,
The Northern Territory.
they just closed their shit down, reasonably so, because, who would want any of this nonsense to happen to you? So, best wishes from the Eastern Seaboard. Thank you so much for that update. I think that's really helpful. One thing that I looked at that I hadn't looked at in some time was sort of the global situation. Now, you often hear India, the news will be who is doing it worse. It's going to be
It moves to the
India,
action. What's exploding right now?
What's exploding? But I'm actually going to show a series of screenshots here, which sort of summarize a pattern. Now, in summary, basically, everyone seems to be going through this sort of Delta variant resurgence, and it's kind of it'll be a pattern of you've got your phase 1 and then your sort of Delta resurgence now. In
Okay. This is how we handled the initial outbreak,
wave.
which Australia kind of blitzed compared to a lot of other countries, and then there's the Delta one, which is
right.
More contagious and more sickly, and possible different long-term effects, but I think that's still sort of been locked down because it's too soon to tell.
We're not quite sure yet how to an extent we are with our vaccines, but it's a bit, it just puts a few things up in here, and I guess what's not off the table yet is another variant or another variant. So it's really important that everybody obviously gets vaccinated. But I think when you look at the rest of the world and how it's, the scales are order of magnitude different, some are 50,000, some are 50 cases a day. But you can see that sort of everybody is sort of having this resurgence when you look at it on a global scale. We can kind of see from this that Australia's first wave, we crushed it, but I think it was probably a combination of luck and our location and some swift action from our government, but when you look at it, not really. I think we kind of just happened to have
There's a reason why Australia is called the lucky country and not the intelligent country or the well-managed country or the wise country or the non-fuckhead country.
Yeah. So I kind of want to bring this down to... again, we're back at that thing of why is this so terrible? So I think there's 2 key elements in the failure. It's our hotel quarantine system, which we've been through before, and our fucked vaccine rollout. And then there's the communication around that vaccine rollout. We have actually 2 great vaccine options, primarily, and there's other vaccine options coming online. People under 40 still who don't have sort of underlying health conditions and they don't really meet the criteria are still not able to actually get the vaccine that's being recommended to them, which is causing, I think, immense confusion.
Oh yeah, obviously, great. Get out there and vaccinate.
Yeah, you're obviously able to go. Ataji, our here's what they are, have sort of said that you can go and talk to your GP about what's best for you. But I think the damage has been done. It's been said time and time again. Like, they've already sort of like, I'll put the figures here about how both are effective and the stats of how little likely you are to like have any kind of side effect. But and then comparing that to your chances of dying of COVID. What I want to flag is that there is this sort of narrative that's emerging that it's like, you've got to be kind and that it's okay to not get the jab. Right? So I just want to read a post that I saw shared, and maybe I'll just post it here so I don't have to read the whole thing.
But is this like, go easy on the anti-vaxxers?
Yeah, let's be a gentle reminder to all, please respect each other. And mindful of the message we put out there. Is everybody wrong because they believe differently to you? Are they likely to have just as strong as a reason for their choice? And it's kind of like, the central crux of it is like, whether you get the jab or whether you don't, it's all fine. And I have a real, like, I might butcher this, and I want you to be kind to me if I don't quite articulate this, because I think it's still something that I'm like formulating and trying to process. But I feel like there's a real issue with this idea that all opinions are valid, which I hear myself when I say that. It sounds bad, but I guess what I'm saying is that I'm not sure it is okay for you to just be like, nah, not me. It does seem like, and obviously I could be as rooted in a perspective that you feel seems crazy as they are to me, but I do see that there is a sort of selfishness to you choosing not to get this vaccine because, you know, you believe some crazy shit that you read on the internet. Like this idea that we have to respect people who don't want to get vaccinated. I'm not sure that that's good. Like, be kind. I'm not saying slaughter these people to death.
We don't need to hate on them.
But maybe, I mean, social pressure, shame, and ridicule.
It's what stops us from shitting in public. Like, and running around being rapists and stuff like that.
What about the smell, Alex? You haven't thought about the smell.
Look, I'll be honest. You're okay in my books, and I respect it. I put this on the same level of value that I put anyone who puts that disclaimer on their Facebook saying I don't give permission. I think it's bullshit. I think we are like, well, why don't we just say, oh, look, it's okay if they think the earth is flat, whatever. And it's okay, but they're fucking wrong.
Yeah.
All right? And not every opinion is valid. And you flicking through your phone on the toilet is not the same as doing years and years of scientific research.
Yes.
And yes, we have every reason not to trust our evil overlords. But everyone rushing around going, "Ma freedoms," as though we aren't all, every single one of us who doesn't own a coal mine or a TV station, as if any of us are really that far removed from the human batteries that is in the Matrix. We aren't. Every one of us, if you don't own a fucking TV station or a media empire or Disney, you are a fucking drone and you are already a slave. So fuck up with your my freedom shit, because they don't exist.
Yeah.
You are anyone watching this video who has less than $10 million in their bank account, you are all drones under the master. So stop pretending they're sucking freedom. And also, they benefit from us being alive. I don't think there is a master plan to kill us all off, because we are their resource.
That's what
they harvest us like fucking gold mines in World of Warcraft. You know, they're not out to kill everyone. That's not good for business. As many consumers as possible. That's what's good for business. So if they're releasing a vaccine that's going to ideally stop everyone from dying, then that's probably true. But at the same time, they have, and by they I mean the government and their media buddies, have pretty much shat the bed as far as preparing for the inevitable pushback that was coming.
It does feel ideologically really complicated. Like, I feel like I was raised in a time where the dominant theory was that tolerance is good. All ideas are on the table, and you know, everybody's opinion should be valid. Raise up voices of marginalized people. And I think I stand by like 90% of that, but there does seem like there is a fallible aspect to this. Everybody's voices is valid, everybody's platform is equal, and that we have lost the positive benefits of gatekeeping. In that there is an element of like, again, I don't know if you've ever been an expert in anything, but even if it's like sport or your local council's stuff, but have you ever heard or had an experience where on the news they've reduced down something that you actually know heaps about to something really simplistic, and then that for you, you're like, hey, that's not how that is. I think that this on a mass scale is probably what it's like for people who are experts in epidemiology, and you see it in the exasperated way that they are reported on the news. Like we don't have 10 years of statistical analysis
like,
or data analysis.
Fuckhead, I know better.
Yeah, like it's I feel completely conflicted, because I think at one point it's like, yes, you know, everybody has a valid way to be able to state their opinion, but should we be weighting them all equally in the public arena? Probably not.
Should we be elevating opinion to the level of knowledge?
Expert knowledge.
Yeah, expertise and stuff, and this is our opinion, we should not.
No, we shouldn't. Like
that's really fucking dangerous.
It is. It's super dangerous, and you can see how this is manifested in like Trumpisms and this weird conflation of like
breaking
sort of,
the idea of truth.
Freedom, the freedoms movement, which again, like I never thought I would be in a place on the side that's against the free. Like, of course, protest is good. Like it's absurd, this like thing that's happening. So I don't know the solution, but I know that it's super difficult to talk about without sort of like feeling like you're bouncing up against your own existing ideologies and stuff. It's really confusing.
If you protested because you weren't allowed to go out on Saturday night, but you didn't protest over the fact that your government is destroying the environment and is going to end life on this planet, you can go fuck yourself.
We did an episode about conspiratorial thinking and how it's easier to think that there's sort of like these shifty cabals rather than just accept that the world is chaos and that you have actually no control over these things.
And lots of people in power as shit.
I think we probably are also naturally trying to look for reason and pattern, and it's like a natural thing to want to like organize the chaos to be easier to understand. So I do, like, if you believe even like, you know, marginally these things, I'd love to know, like, what do you think Dan Andrews' end game is? Like, how is this good for him politically? How is this good for the economy? Like,
oh yeah, if you think this is all a plan of the New World Order,
what do you think they're doing?
Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, because I would love to understand. I think this is a good segue to talk about that we have had the sort of freedom, I think we'll call it the freedom movement, which is, it's like, it sounds like a euphemism, but it's like the people who think that somehow their personal freedoms and liberties are being taken away for nefarious reasons, from everything from just like, you know, fuck the government to 5G chips. Those people were protesting how, like, they protested the night of the lockdown. You know, I'll insert some footage here. I think what I found really interesting was it's that, again, that's that weird collision of like super right-wing people that has been identified as Nazis essentially, or like, you know, modern day Nazis, but also people who are singing, I think, what sounded like the Hare Krishna song, right? Who could predict the coming together of these two things?
Well, I mean, this is not the first time there's been sort of a connection between New Age movement and far-right extremism.
Well, tell me
like they do. No, that's all I got to say on that.
That sounded like it was going to be an excellent point.
I think it's just, you know, if you hate the culture for whatever reason,
which culture?
then
the dominant culture.
The dominant culture, which to a lot of people is now perceived as being wokeism, or as I like to call it, not being a bigot, then you know, the counterculture tends to draw a lot of people together.
It's crazy to me. Like, I am someone who lives pretty far on the fucking extremes of left-winginess, just in my not necessarily my beliefs, but in my personal existence, right? Like, by my nature of my existence, I tend to be super far on the left because of who I am as a person. And it's interesting hearing that somehow is mainstream, when every single day I usually face some kind of criticism or anger or hatred of just like
you hit some sort of wall because you've got funny hair or something gender related or something. The idea that somehow that is mainstream, like, I think it's probably that thing of like, I feel like maybe the freedom movement is bigger than it is because of the way it's reported. Like, these two extremes. Well, they're claiming victimizing. It's like Alan Jones going and Andrew Bolt going on fucking their wretched TV station saying we're being victimized. All those motherfuckers in American politics saying I'm being silenced. Trump saying he's being silenced on a massive platform in front of billions of people the world over. But we have to know
that those right-wing people are using those, like, they're doing it knowingly. Like, there was an incredible Cody Shoddy episode just the other day about the way that they knowingly have turned critical race theory into the next Africanized bees. Like, I think it's that interesting thing of the left wanting to be so kind and aware that we don't use the tactics that the right does, and therefore we kind of tend to lose because we're not willing to stoop as low.
Because they will just appropriate our thing and then throw it back and say, I'm super straight, that's my gender identity.
I don't know that the answer is to go low when they go high type of thing, but I mean, do you have to fight fire with fire? I don't know the solution. I'm not smart enough. There are many smarter people figuring that shit out, but it does seem like until you're kind of willing to go there, that those tactics are gonna scoop up the flippable people.
It's so duplicitous though, and it scoops up anyone who feels, because again, you can be a white, straight, middle-aged man and suffer tremendous struggle in your life because you're still getting fucked on a class level probably, and all these sort of things. It doesn't, when people talk about privilege and that, it doesn't mean that like your life hasn't been hard.
Yeah.
We're just saying you and a person who's the non-dominant race in that country or the non-dominant gender in that country in that same situation has probably had it slightly harder. It doesn't mean that you haven't suffered. But there's this sort of disingenuous, we're being silenced and stuff. Look, if you really think that the woke agenda is ruling the country you live in, then tell me why the fuck on the census that we all have to fill out next Tuesday, if you write non-binary as your gender, a robot form processor will assign you a gender. If you put no gender or non-binary on there, they will decide and make you male or female on the thing.
My dick just dropped off.
So people who have struggled against the gender they were assigned with are now in the census going to be assigned a gender again. And you think that the woke ideology is what's dominant?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, hey, maybe bigotry isn't as over as it used to be. It's not rating like it used to. But trust me, it's the people you think are dominating the conversation, they are not ruling the world. The ABC can't even criticize its own government without risking losing funding. Trust me, the rich evil cunts are still in charge. So if you're struggling to come to terms with the fact that you're not the center of the universe, let us know in the comments below.
And we'll, I don't know, probably do nothing.
We'll reply. Trust me, we are so far from being too successful to reply to any comments, so we're quite happy to engage with you unless you're a cunt. And then we'll still engage, but it'll be an unpleasant experience for all involved.
Another thing that's come out of our stroll out of the vaccine failure from our wonderful federal government, that it's not a race, but now that the Olympics is on, it's very much like a gold.
I love how Scott Morrison appropriated a whole bunch of gold medal language
gross.
regarding this. So is it a race or not, asshole?
It's not a race.
It is a race. It isn't a race. I may have let my pedo pasta escape the country. I may have not. Who knows?
Delicious pedo pasta. I want to put a little bit of oregano. So another thing that's come out of this is that, America has recently deemed that everybody working, I think in the federal mail or whatever, has been required to now get vaccinated. That seems like a good idea because that's a heckload of people. What has our government done about that? Because we've had our very first individual company require people to be vaccinated.
Oh, yes! So I'm like, why is SBC trending? So as I check out the hashtag SBC, and people are outraged that SBC is going to try and mandate that all its staff gets vaccinated by November this year. And people are furious. They're like, I'm never buying this again. I'm going to boycott this. It's just like when people were burning their Nikes or whatever. What are the odds that this factory is going to be able to get all their staff vaccinated by November? There's not enough vaccines. Unless their entire workforce is old people, they're not going to be eligible for vaccines for the ones that are in the country anyway. Unions are like, no one even ran this by us before it went down. So it hasn't. I think it probably feels like a bold declarative statement from above that hasn't necessarily been checked with the staff.
From SBC, you mean?
Anecdotal people working in the food processing industry on Twitter. Some people are like, oh look, we're finally getting vaccinated. Some people aren't. So I think it's probably quite polarizing amongst the workforce. People are like, so Scott Morrison, what do you reckon of this, Mr. Prime Minister? Are you going to take a stand? And of course, Scott Morrison, while he does want everyone to be vaccinated for the sake of opening up the economy, he also doesn't want to push it too hard because so much of his base is like anti-vaxxer chuds, and he basically won the last election through the support of the even more monstrous, deplorable fringe groups like One Nation and the Clive Palmer Party, who are all kind of anti-vax and anti-women, anti-literature, anti-reading. So he can never come in too hard on this shit, or he'll end up like Malcolm Turnbull and he'll be kicked out for suggesting that maybe we shouldn't chop down every fucking tree in the country.
Or sell all of them.
Yeah. So he's sort of hedged his bets on it. So that's sort of come down, and yeah, there's a good old boycott going on, a good old-fashioned boycott. Because, you know, if you're worried about the freedoms of the staff at SPC, the best way you can support them is by damaging the company so much they can't afford to keep those workers because of your boycott. So good work.
Good job,
once
crazy
again,
people.
it's, you know, once again we see the, you know,
More freedoms.
Yeah, it's about freedom and liberty, but mainly it's about your own bullshit and imposing on other people. You know, it's more or less like, again, I don't want any abortions, but I will never help a motherless child.
You know it comes from the anti-vax perspective of thinking that the vaccine wasn't properly funded, which it was. You know, thinking that the vaccine wasn't properly tested, which it was. You know, it comes from thinking the vaccine is somehow safe or not ineffective because of our terrible government's communication. Like, the root of this thing, like, this is the same week that report came out saying that we will not get to any semblance of like a COVID normal. We're never getting back to normal, but some kind of COVID normal until 80%. They say, you know, 70, but they really, like, when they say 70, they don't mean it. They mean it's like 80 to 95% of people need to be fucking vaccinated, 12-year-olds and up, in order for us to get to any semblance of herd immunity.
Basically, everyone except the people who can't take it because it will be injurious to them.
I get it. I never thought I'd be in a position where I thought that personal medical freedoms should be questioned, right? Like your own health.
Yeah.
But I never also thought that we live in a world where anti-science, anti-vaccine propaganda would mitigate people's sense of duty and people's sense of knowing that vaccines were a good thing. You can go to Hot Doc right now and book in if you're eligible. Even if you're not, we've heard some success stories of people going in late in the day and getting like either leftover Pfizer, or you can have the conversation with your doctor about whether AstraZeneca is right for you. Again, we'll put the screenshots here about how both are effective at being like 90 to 90+% effective against death, which I think probably is what we're all most interested in. So again,
not death.
I do think there is like I don't know the solution, but there has to be some way around this sort of like tolerance of people being like, not me. Is it? Yeah, you.
Who are you addressing?
The right-wing people who want to not get vaccinated, but also want the economy to keep going.
I love how this whole episode has basically been talking to
people who don't watch this.
Who do not watch this show. So, look, if you are the maybe 2 to 3 people who watch this video who don't actually share our beliefs and you watch it every week, please let us know in the comments below.
You can just come to our house.
That will blow my mind. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. We can do that as well.
Very change my mind vibes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this has all been horrible. I'm real sorry that like more than half the country is in lockdown. Seems that the whole world is sharing the Delta variant strain pain, and that this is all genuine.
Except Florida, they're just pretending it's not happening. Good, you go, guys.
That's the whole vibe.
Let me know how that works out for you. Thank you for your time. We authentically appreciate you watching our show. Thank you very much. Take it easy and like, share, and subscribe.